welcome to your Wednesday morning.
It's Wednesday.
It's
I know.
Wednesday.
It feels like we've been up for 24 hours, but it is Wednesday.
I think I have. We're still on Tuesday, but I'm Melissa Shriver, nonetheless.
And good morning. I am Tegan Orbit. Thank you so much for starting your Wednesday morning with us. It is November 6th. Big news already this morning, literally fresh off the presses.
Yes, just fresh off the presses, talking about Donald Trump, now the 47th president elected and basically deemed that way by the Associated Press just minutes ago. Here's what he had to say to the American people.
So I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president and your 45th president.
President-elect Donald Trump claimed victory this morning, hours before the Associated Press declared him the winner. Trump addressed a crowd of his supporters at a convention center in West Palm Beach, Florida, overnight. He was joined on stage by his wife, Melania Trump, as well as other members of his family, and his running mate, J.D. Vance, and House Speaker Mike Johnson. Trump thanked his supporters for their overwhelming support and his lead in both the popular vote and the Electoral College. Now let's get started with an updated check on the race for the White House. As you can see right now, Donald Trump leads with 277 electoral votes, while Kamala Harris is trailing at 224. In Missouri election coverage, Show Me State voters have re-elected Republican U.S. Senator Josh Hawley to retain his seat in the Senate. He defeats Democratic challenger Lucas Kunce, who earned over 701,000 votes. And in the Missouri congressional race, incumbent Republican Sam Graves holds on to his seat in the U.S. House, defeating Democrat challenger Pam May by more than 40% of the vote. And in the race for Missouri governor, Republican businessman Mike Kehoe will be the new governor of the Show Me State, taking home 59% of the vote over Democrat Crystal Quaid. And in the race for Missouri's lieutenant governor, it's Republican Dave Wassinger over Democratic candidate Richard Brown with 57% of the vote there. And let's stay in Missouri for a look at a few other state races. In this race for Secretary of State, voters have elected Republican Denny Hoskins with 57% of the vote over Democrat Barbara Pfeiffer. And in the race for Missouri Treasurer, voters chose to re-elect incumbent Republican Vivek Malik. He defeated Democrat challenger Mark Osmak. Now, Malik is the first person of color to be elected to the Missouri State office. Governor Mike Parson originally appointed him to the Treasurer's office late last year. And in the Missouri Attorney General's race, voters chose to re-elect incumbent Republican Andrew Bailey over Democrat challenger Elad Gross. He took the office with nearly 60% of the vote. And back to election coverage on this Wednesday morning, turning now to Iowa races. Incumbent Congresswoman Mariannette Miller trying to hang on to her seat in the U.S. House. This is a big race with national focus as the balance in the House was in question earlier this evening. At this point, it is confirmed that Republicans have the majority in the House at this point. By the way, Miller still in a dead heat with Democrat challenger Christiana Mohan. Now, right now, Miller is winning that battle by a few hundred votes with 97% of the vote counted. The race has not been called as of yet. At the state level, incumbent Republican Jeff Reitman faced Democratic challenger Nanette Griffin to retain his 50th District Senate seat. He will continue to represent Southeast Iowa with 59% of the vote there. And turning now to Illinois, voters were asked 3 important questions. Let's take a look at them. First, should any candidate appearing on the Illinois ballot for federal, state, or local office be subject to civil penalties if the candidate interferes or attempts to interfere with the election workers' official duties? About 89% of voters have said yes to that. That's about more than 4 million votes. Next, our attention turns to taxes. The ballot measure asked, should the Illinois Constitution be amended to create an additional 3% tax on income greater than $1 million for the purpose of dedicating funds to property tax relief? Voters said yes to that question, at least at this point, with 60% of the vote. And voters were also asked if assisted reproductive rights linked to in vitro fertilization should be covered by any health insurance plan in Illinois without limitation on the number of treatments. Voters gave a resounding yes to that ballot measure at 72%. Meanwhile, we're watching a congressional race in the Illinois 17th district right now. Democrat Eric Sorensen is defending his seat against Republican challenger Joe McGraw. The votes show Sorensen is holding on to his seat so far with 77% of votes counted this morning. We have much more election results to talk about this morning, and we start in Missouri, where voters there became the first state to overturn a near-total abortion ban. Missouri Constitutional Amendment Number 3 asked voters whether the Constitution should be amended to establish a right to make decisions about reproductive health care, making governmental interference invalid, and removing Missouri's ban on abortion. Missouri voters said yes, with 52% of the vote yesterday. So far, 97% of that vote has been counted. And in Missouri state representative races, we start in District 4. Republican Greg Sharp battled Democrat Melissa Jo Violera. Incumbent Greg Sharp will hold on to his seat for another 2 years with 83% of the vote. In Missouri District 3, it's Republican incumbent Representative Ed Lewis over Democrat challenger John Akins. Turning now to the 40th district, Republican incumbent Chad Perkins has been declared the winner by AP over Libertarian challenger Sherry Jay. He took 87% of the vote and will continue to represent Lincoln and Pike County, Missouri, in Jefferson City. In District 43, incumbent Republican Missouri State Representative Kent Hayden faced Democrat challenger Eric Richardson. Voters re-elected Hayden for another term with 78% of the vote. And in local Missouri elections, Knox County voters re-elected their sheriff to do his job. Republican Carl Noshi defeated Democrat challenger Quentin Dalton, garnering about 69% of the vote. And in the Knox County coroner's race, it's Republican Alan Reimer over independent Jeffrey Doss with 70% of the vote this morning. And moving over to Shelby County, Missouri, both Rachel Bishel and Jennifer Bess Chandler vied for the county public administrator seat as Susan Wilt steps down. Rachel Bishel will be the new public administrator with 61% of the vote. Missouri voters also deciding a couple of propositions on the ballot this year. The question whether to raise the state's minimum wage to $13.75 starting January 1st. The measure would also increase by $1.25 in 2026 for a total of $15 per hour for the minimum wage. The measure would also require employers to provide 1 hour paid sick leave for every 30 hours worked. Voters did approve that measure with 58% of the votes. The vote is too close to call even at this hour in Missouri Constitutional Amendment 2. Voters are split in half as to whether they want to allow the Missouri Gaming Commission to regulate licensed sports betting. Only 78% of that vote has been counted at this point. That would include online sports betting, gambling votes, professional sports betting districts, and allowing mobile licenses to sports betting operators. The state of Illinois already allows sports betting, so this would put Missouri in a similar situation. We will continue to watch this amendment question and give you the final tally when it comes in. And taking a look at Amendment 2 this morning in Missouri, which would allow the Missouri Gambling Commission to allow online sports wagering platforms to be offered by licensed entities. That's leaning towards yes right now, with 64% of precincts reporting a 52% yes vote. And turning now to Amendment 5, voters were asked if the Missouri Gaming Commission should issue one more gambling boat license. The casino would be located on the Osage River between the Missouri River and Bagnell Dam. Voters have said no to that question with 52% of the vote, with 98% of precincts reporting. And just ahead in your election coverage, we'll be back with your Illinois and Iowa local elections. Back to more election coverage on your Wednesday. Iowa's local election coverage now, with Lee County voters having a new sheriff elected this morning. Republican challenger Elliot Brandenburg has defeated Sheriff Stacey Weber for the position with 52% of the vote. And staying in Lee County in the race for county auditor, Republican Sherry Yashinchak, who has won over Democrat Rosalind Garcia, receiving 56% of the vote. In Illinois election results, voters spoke out on question 1 on the ballot, asking whether a person should receive penalties for election interference. 89% of voters in Illinois said yes to question 1. And 60% of Illinois voters also said they would approve of a 3% income tax increase for high earners in the state, those earners taking home more than $1 million a year. Voters in McDonough, Hancock, Henderson, and Henderson counties, were asked to issue bonds in the amount of $4 million to build and equip a vocational, agricultural, and science building for West Prairie School District. If approved, the district also would plan to build an athletic facility that would include an all-weather track. At this hour, we have no results on that proposition at this point, so we'll hear from the district in the coming days to find out what's next for them.